Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Please get ready with your handphone. Those who are joining this class with your handphone, I don't know how are you going to do it. Okay, I'm not really expert in gadget, in technology, but maybe you can try. Okay. Those who are using a laptop or iPad, then you can use your handphone to join this quiz, okay? Okay, nampak tak?
Nampak, madam, nampak.
Okay, now you can join Kahoot. Okay, you buka Kahoot guna handphone. Okay, open your Kahoot and then you log in this pin number 4606880. Okay.
Dia pakai nama ke pakai metric number?
Dia?
Nickname pakai nama ke metric number?
Bubuh nama you. Just use your name.
Madam, again, pin dia.
Ya?
Pin dia, madam.
You tak nampak ke ni pin?
Pin dia. Oh, nampak lagi dah. 460.
Nampak tak pin?
Nampak, baru nampak.
I'm using the handphone and also Zoom also with the. So I try to.
Dia?
Fake name boleh, madam?
Kejap. Saya tak dengar suara you all. Sekejap saya slowkan.
Sudah masuk.
Ya. Baru 21 players. Kita tunggu siapa yang who can join. Okay, I'm not sure if you use your handphone whether you can join this or not.
I'm using handphone.
Okay, so can you join?
Yes, sure.
Okay then.
Yes, can.
Okay, 32, 34 players. We wait for more. Are you having a class after this, after my class?
No.
Okay. So you are not rushing, right?
Yay.
Mana?
Kejap, madam. Guna phone.
Okay, it's okay. Take your time. Don't worry. Since you don't have class after this, so we are going to spend time together. Don't worry. So 43 players. We're still waiting for more.
Ya, madam dah masuk.
Okay. "42 players."
Madam, nickname nak pakai apa, madam?
Just write your name. Fakrullah contohnya. Okay, just write Fakrullah.
Oh.
Don't write your nickname like whatever nickname that you have. Okay, but you need to write your, let's say Muhammad Fakrullah, write Fakrullah. Have a seat. Okay, I have two different types of students. Okay, one is you online, another one they are coming here to my house, so I have to attend both of you and them. Yeah. Okay. I have to approve some of you who are still, okay, we have 48 players. We wait for more.
Madam, line siput madam.
Okay, shall we start the Kahoot game, Kahoot quiz?
Yes.
All right. It's okay. Those who are unable to join, you can just watch your friends.
Sekejap madam, ada tak ada masuk lagi.
All right. Okay.
Memang dia akan keluar yang hijau tu je.
Ah, yang hijau mana ya?
You are in je. Your name.
So because we haven't started, I'm still waiting for more to join.
Dia tulis you are in, see your nickname on screen. Tu je dia tulis. Memang dia keluar hijau je semua.
Belum start lagi Diana, relax. Dia memang keluar macam tu.
Questions in this quiz will be based on our last week lecture. Okay. So what was the last week lecture topic?
Media ethics and confidentiality.
Apa dia?
Confidentiality and public interest.
Confidentiality.
Confidential.
Shall we start now?
Sure.
Kak tak share lagi.
And code etika, code etika, something like that.
The questions of national relationship.
The following are the three circumstances of confidentiality relationships. Accept.
How do I know?
Dah sempat.
Lajunya. Tak sempat tekan.
Apa next week?
Pak Madam,
Tekan dah habis.
tengok warna.
Ha? Ten.
Pak tengok warna.
Ui.
Hebat ya.
Sumpah, tahu-tahu je dah.
Soalan pertama Fatihah. Okay, next one. Tengok. How many justifications for confidentiality as explained last week? How many? 2, 3?
Apa ni?
Madam,
saya tak boleh tekan? Kenapa saya keluar shape?
Saya keluar shape je, madam.
Shape,
Dia tak keluar shape?
Justification. Terkeluar shape saja.
Dia tak keluar soalan.
Oh,
Dia terkeluar shape masuk colour.
Dia
keluar shape sebab dia read it to you.
Oh, chip je kan.
Soalan dekat screen madam.
Soalan dekat screen.
Phone memang shape
Susah
dia.
lah.
Jawapan dekat screen. Laptop.
Alah.
Kat laptop pun tak ada soalan.
Kena cepat.
You nampak tak soalan?
Nampak.
Ada atas.
Oh,
Nampak, madam.
Okay, you kena pandai adjust lah you punya screen. Okay, next one.
Line slow, madam. Line slow.
Okay, line slow tak apa, saya faham. That one I cannot help.
Hebat hebat.
Okay, Fatihah, Amira menang untuk second questions. We go to the next question. Ada 5 questions sahaja. It is not normal for media practitioners to choose between confidentiality and transparency. Yes or no?
Not normal.
Okay, the answer is no. Okay, it is not. It is actually normal. Bukan it is not normal. It is actually normal for media practitioners to choose between confidentiality and transparency because they didn't know which one they have to decide either one. Okay, to be confidential or to be transparent. Okay, we go to the next question. Husaini dapat skor tertinggi for
Ya Allah.
question tadi.
Tanya.
Now we go next. Question keempat. There are two principles of reporter-source relationships. There are two principles. Betul atau salah? Okay, jawapannya betul. Ada dua sahaja principles of reporter-source relationship. Usai ini lagi. Okay, next one. Okay, last question. How many code of ethics underlined by Institute of Journalists Malaysia for local reporters?
5.
2, 3, 4 or 5? Jawablah, jangan jawab kat saya. Okay. So the answer is actually 4.
Madam buat lagi sekali.
Next week lah pula.
Madam
Nervous.
tak lagi jawab.
Okay, nombor 1 Fawaz.
Tanya.
Ya, Fawaz.
Adakah tadi madam?
Okay, we stop share that. Okay, now shall we move to our lecture? Korang bertunggu kan? Ada belum masak makan tengah hari? Okay, nampak tak saya punya screen yang baru ni?
Nampak.
Saya punya slide
Nampak madam.
Alright, okay.
Nampak.
Okay, so today our topic is conflict of interest, okay? Now, before we start, I want to ask you, how many of you, can any one of you, okay, you can unmute your microphone if you want to answer my questions. Okay, any one of you can share what do you understand from conflicts of interest from the media perspective, okay, you as a journalist, as reporters. Or maybe you want to define generally what does it mean by conflicts of interest, okay? You can unmute your microphone and answer my question. Or you want me to call names? Najihah. Najihah, can you please tell me what do you understand from conflicts of interest?
Dengar kan?
Yeah, I'm listening.
The situation where the concern arise from different party.
From different party. Okay. Boleh bagi contoh? Can you give example? Example of maybe other students who can give examples of conflicts of interest from your own understanding before we begin. Maybe Fawaz. I like Fawaz background. Fawaz, jawab. Fawaz duduk dekat tepi pantai nampaknya. You need to unmute your microphone, Fawaz. Tahu tak?
Macam masing-masing dia ada interest masing-masing Macam mana?
Now Fawaz, do you know or you don't know?
Don't know.
Don't know cakap don't know. Tak payah nak belagak pandai. Gelak hai Irfan, gelak. Mana? Saya nak Fakrullah.
I don't know too, madam.
You don't know too. Yes. Cukup. Okay, who can answer me? Anyone knows what does it mean by conflict of interest, or maybe you want to define conflict of interest by giving examples.
I think the it is related to the news organization have their own participating uh, to which is to disseminate the news information, the hot news information maybe such as for the political issues. It's also the conflicts of interest when it's regarding to the political issues among
Contoh?
organization.
Can you give example?
For example, maybe about the coronation of Prime Minister. So all the news organization which is they want to cover the news as fast as they can, and also the content of the news itself can also be the conflict of interest to the public.
Tidak tepat, tetapi a good try, and it is close to the right answer, but it's not the absolute correct one. Okay, but good try, Amira. Okay, Amira, you need to mute your microphone. All right. Okay, conflict of interest is a clash between professional loyalties and outside interest that undermines the credibility of the moral agent. Okay, moral agent is referring to an individual who has the responsibility to deliver message ethically. Okay, when we talk about in the context of journalism. All right, so conflict of interest is a clash. Okay, you know what is clash, right? Between professionalism, okay, professional loyalties, and outside interests. Okay, it is a clash when we refer to the context of journalism. For example, okay, a clash that happens between the code of ethics, where the journalists need to abide to a certain code of ethics, okay, and also the outside interest, okay, the pressure that coming from the outside, okay, to the journalists to produce certain kinds of news that meet the interest of certain people or certain parties. All right, so this is what we call as conflict of interest. Okay, if we look at a different aspect or different angle, for example, in a business company, in a corporate company, okay, let's say you are part of the management team in the company, where you deal with tender, okay, coming in and out, the tender, the business tender, okay. So let's say I give you example, you are working for a big construction company, okay, syarikat construction yang besar, contohnya macam syarikat apa ya? Okay, syarikat AZRB, Ahmad Zaki Resources Berhad. Okay, this is one of the big companies in the field of construction. Okay, so you are in the team, okay, and you are dealing with the tender. Okay, ada syarikat-syarikat kecil construction, small construction companies yang masuk tender. Okay, they place a tender to be granted with certain projects. Okay, and you are one of the teams to decide which companies to be selected to be given this tender. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so let's say one day one company that belongs to your very good friend, okay, has placed a tender in the company where you are working now, okay, and you are the one who will be working together with the rest of other team members to decide which company to be selected, all right? So this is where the conflict of interest comes into place, because you are the one who will decide, okay, which company to be selected, and this company will be given a very good project, and then the company that, one of the companies that also in the list to place the tender is a company that belongs to your very, very good friend, okay? So if you are involved in the selection, then there will be a conflict of interest. This is what we mean by conflict of interest. So in order for a person to avoid the existence of conflict of interest, he or she needs to withdraw from the selection team. Okay, so this is how it is supposed to happen. Okay, same goes in the field of journalism. All right, it is a conflict, or sorry, it is a clash between professionalism, where a journalist need to abide to certain code of ethics, okay, and one of the code of ethics where he needs to be fair and just in disseminating the news, okay, the messages. But at the same time, he has been pressured, okay, by certain parties that have an interest in the news organization, and you have no freedom to abide to your code of ethics. Okay, so this what we call as conflict of interest. Okay, next one, conflicts generally arise from the roles we play within society, okay, and rather than our general societal obligations. So how are we going to, how we function in the society, okay, and usually the conflicts arise from the roles that we play within the society, okay, as a journalist, or as a politician, or as a teacher, as a member of parliament, okay. So what is the role that we play within our society? Okay, it does not involve any fundamental values like what taught by our parents, okay. So when we talk about conflict of interest, tak ada kena-mengena, does not involve at all with the fundamental values like what we taught by our parents, okay. So kalau in a family, okay, our parents taught us to be nice to everyone, okay, to be nice to our family members especially. We need to prioritize, okay, kita perlu utamakan family kita, betul tak? Okay, we need to prioritize our family members, our siblings, our parents, our cousins, okay. But when it comes to being professional, okay, to avoid conflict of interest, so we cannot take into considerations what have been taught by our parents, okay, about the values, okay. They are two different things, okay. The values that have been taught by our parents and what the professionalism that we are carrying out as a journalist, okay, they are two different things, okay. So when it comes to conflict of interest, whoever that come to us request for certain preference, okay, whether they are our siblings, our parents, our family members, we have to avoid them if we believe there is a conflict of interest, okay. I give you one example. Okay, bagi contoh lah, saya bagi contoh. One example, let's say your father is a politician, okay? And you are a journalist who covers stories on politics. And then you have received a news where there is a misuse of power made by some members, okay, in a political party belongs to what your father is representing, okay. And then you wanted to cover this news, and your father, being a politician, he has let's say requested or pressured you not to cover that news because it might give very bad reputation to the political party that he is representing. Okay, so as an ethical journalist, what you need to do, okay, whether you need to abide to what your father asks you, or you need to keep your professionalism. Which one?
Keep
Now,
professionalism.
keep your professionalism. Okay, this is what it is supposed to do. But in reality, is it going to happen that way, Alif? No.
No.
I don't think so.
Ya, mesti Alif akan rasa bersalah. Alif akan rasa, oh aku ni anak yang derhaka sebab tak dengar cakap ayah. Betul tak? Okay.
Yes.
So that is a dilemma of being a journalist actually. Okay. When it comes to conflict of interest, when it comes to confidentiality, like what we discussed last week. Okay. So we have to bear in mind that conflict of interest does not involve any fundamental values like what taught by our parents. Okay. Next. Sekejap ya, my internet slow. Ramai sangat guna internet kat rumah saya ni. Tengok dia tak nak jalan dah. Okay. It raises some basic questions concerning fairness and justice. Okay, so in order for us to be professional in our job, so we have to be fair and we have to be just. Okay, kalau berita tu memang berita yang akan affect the reputation of certain political party, but the news is true, and maybe some of the members in that political party, they are actually our very good friends, and we have in order for us to be fair and just, we have to reveal the news, okay, because it is the interest of the public. Okay, they deserve to know. So today's topic is actually sangat berkait, very much related with our last week's topic. I hope Brother Abdullah, you can understand what I'm explaining, because I need to mix with bahasa as well, since some of your friends, they need explanation more in bahasa. Abdullah, I hope you find it okay? Alright, okay. Thank you, Abdullah. Okay, next one. Oh, Abdullah, you can understand Malay?
He's just playing.
Okay. Alright.
Boleh.
Itu Alif. Okay, many news organizations have specific policies relating to conflicts of interest, such as banning the acceptance of prerequisites and freebies from news sources, or the participation in political and community organizations by members of the editorial staff. Okay, this is what I've explained to you just now. So many news organizations, okay, have specific policies. Mereka ada certain code of ethics ataupun policy dasar berkaitan dengan conflict of interest. Okay, for example, they have banned mana-mana reporters untuk menerima apa-apa sahaja barangan berbentuk hadiah atau apa saja daripada informan, daripada pemberi maklumat. Okay, kenapa? Because they want to avoid conflict of interest. Because, for example, I am the reporter, and then I get along with my news sources, okay, and the sources want me to reveal, okay, this kind of news, and he has bribed me with gift, hadiah, presents, okay, belanja I makan dekat kedai, just to make sure that I ikut cakap dia, follow whatever information that he asked me to reveal to the public. Okay, so this is what we call as conflict of interest. So certain news organizations, they have their own policies, okay, banning any reporters to accept any prerequisites or freebies, okay, from news sources. Ataupun they also ban their members, their staff to participate in any political parties or political organization. Okay, the code of the SPJ reflects a concern with potential conflicts of interest, as well as actual conflict when it observes that journalists should avoid conflict of interest, whether real or perceived. Okay, I think you know what is SPJ, right? Tak tahu? Okay, SPJ is Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics. Okay, so these are the code of ethics that been underlined by SPJ. Okay, there are 4 of them. First, seek truth and report it, minimize harm, act independently, and be accountable. Okay, so what is meant by seek truth and report it? Okay, journalists should be accurate and fair. They should be honest and courageous in gathering, reporting, and interpreting information. Okay, so that's why journalists must seek the truth and must report it. Journalists must minimize the harm. It means to treat sources, subjects, colleagues, and members of the public as human beings deserving of respect. Act independently. The highest and primary obligation of ethical journalism is actually to serve the public, okay, and avoid pressure from others. Okay, our main job is to serve the public, and we have to avoid any pressures that we receive from other parties. Okay, next, be accountable. It means taking responsibility for one's work and explaining one's decision to the public. Okay. Okay. Besides SPJ, we also have Institute of Journalists Malaysia, IOJ, but this one actually I have already shared to you last week, so I think I will not go details. So the first one, truth. Second one, honesty. Third one, fairness. And fourth one, respect. Okay. However, okay, after all these code of ethics that underlined by both SPJ and IOJ Malaysia, the appearance of conflicts is always difficult to avoid in many news. Like I said just now, kalau Alif, ayah dia member of parliament, ahli politik, dia pun cover cerita politics, so it will be very difficult for Alif sama ada nak being fair and just to the public ataupun nak listen to the father. Betul tak? Okay, and there are reasonable or acceptable conflicts of interest that do not necessarily undermine the credibility of a journalist. Okay, ada juga yang reasonable and acceptable. Okay, where we actually are not bound to certain misconducts. Kena tengoklah situationnya macam mana, okay? And one problem with confronting the ethical behavior of individual media practitioners is that potential conflicts of interest begin at the top. Okay, apabila kita menerima arahan daripada sama ada pihak atasan ataupun daripada certain bigger pressure from outside. Okay, for example, commercial pressure, political interests, and others. Okay, the mass media are big business and depend on advertisers for their support. And many of these advertisers could someday be the subject of news stories, okay? Kita tahu, we know already that certain mass media, okay, the big companies of mass media depend so much on advertisers, okay? And these advertisers actually is like their periuk nasi, okay? Without the advertisers, they actually cannot run their big corporation, media corporation. And sometimes these advertisers might be the subject of the news stories itself, okay? So this is the conflict comes into place. While large media companies can always protect their integrity from commercial pressure, smaller news operations might be forced to pull their punches to avoid coverage that would reflect unfavorably on an advertisers. Okay, so kalau melibatkan company kecil, media company, the smaller media companies, okay, usually they depend so much on advertisers. So when ada conflict of interest seperti ini, they will be in a dilemma. Sama ada they want to cover the news which is very sensational that affect negatively the advertisers, or they have to shut down, shut up, okay, shut their mouth, and then they just forgot about the news because they need sponsors and supports from the advertisers, okay, when it comes to small media companies. Okay, some news organizations are also owned by parent companies whose allegiance is more to the bottom line than to journalistic independence. Okay, for example, TV3. TV3 is not independently standing. Okay, it is owned by a father or a
Media
mother
Prima.
company, Media Prima. Yes. So could the network's news, okay, could TV3 division be expected to aggressively cover a story that adverse to the interest of the Media Prima? Huh? Media Prima is a big company owned by, ada orang-orang di dalam Media Prima tu ialah ahli-ahli politics. Okay, so TV3 sebagai anak syarikat kepada Media Prima, adakah TV3 boleh untuk bercerita news yang akan against the interest of Media Prima? Boleh atau tidak?
No.
So this is what we call as conflict of interest, and it is happening not only outside, okay, Malaysia, but also in Malaysia. Okay, ini baru satu contoh yang saya bagi. There are a lot of other examples. Okay. In a world of conglomerates, the possibilities for conflict of interest are boundless. Okay, tak ada boundary, tak ada border. Okay, it happens in all big media companies. Okay, it becomes even more necessary on media managers at the corporate level to be sensitive to the ethical dilemmas posed by such conflicts. So the managers that in a corporate level, they are the ones who need to be sensitive. They are the one who need to advise, okay, the reporters, the editors, the journalists, okay, what to do and what to not to do. All right. Okay, now I give you 10 minutes, okay, to think quickly, and I want you to answer these questions. Okay, I will get back to you after 10 minutes. You choose. If you want to discuss with your friends, you can. If you want to work independently, then you can also. Okay, so the first question, as a journalist or reporter or news editor or even news producer, how can we deal with conflict of interest? Okay. Second, I want you to suggest what could be the approaches, cara-cara, okay, you might use to overcome conflict of interest. Okay. All right, so I give you 10 minutes. I will come back after 10 minutes, okay? Okay, buka Google Form. Buka Google. Google Form ni mana? Google, buka Google. Okay, sekejap Kak Pi kena mute kan Kak Pi punya.
Soalan kedua ke apa?
Approaches ke soalan nombor dua tadi?
Suggest approaches to
Nombor dua suggest approaches. Suggest approaches to
overcome conflict interest.
Okay, thank you.
Alright.
Soalan pertama,
Son, buka mic Son.
Tak, aku kecek dengan telefon.
Oh, ingatkan tengah cakap dengan tu.
Okay, everyone, have you done?
yes, madam, a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, I'm going to call names, okay? To check what you have done. Sikit pun tak apa. Shall we have Nur Amirah Jamaluddin? Okay, Nur Amirah Jamaluddin, what is your answer for the first question?
How can we deal with the conflict of interest? As a journalist, I think we should we discuss with the editor. We discuss to the editor, and we just having a discussion about we ask their opinion. I think that's my opinion. That's my answer.
Okay. What about Arti Noraini? What could be your answer? What do you think? How can you deal with conflict of interest? Please unmute your microphone, Arti.
I was finding the article about this matter. So it's saying here that we have to do proceed for this before we come to another stage. We have planned to cover about that news. So if it doesn't match, so we can pass it to another journalist.
Okay. Okay, so that's how you deal it. Okay. What about Atikah Najihah?
For question 2 ke madam?
Question 1 dulu.
For question 1 dulu. In my opinion, as a journalist, first we can maybe avoid having personal relationship with a few individuals in case or maybe like someone who is we think that in the future we might cover news about them, and that's my opinion for question number 1.
Okay, good. Okay, Brother Abdullah, what about question number 2? Can you suggest any approaches that you might use to overcome conflict of interest?
Be right.
Yeah.
Okay. Based on what I get of question number 2.
Yeah.
As a reporter, if you want to overcome this conflict of interest, first
Okay.
you shouldn't have to do what they call don't get two doors with the source and the people that you cover. So you, as a reporter, you have to know the difference between the establishing a working relationship and friendship. Because, for example, if you want to cover a source about a family or a relative, like your father is a council member of the community, and you want to cover the source about that particular person,
Yeah.
I think you should have to avoid yourself from covering that source, because people or the audience will have this perception that they will not believe that you fairly interview them and in an upsetted manner, in an appropriate manner.
Okay. What about Fakrullah? Question number 2. What can you suggest?
Yes, madam.
Yes. Question number 2, Fakrullah. What can you suggest? Approaches that you might use to overcome conflict of interest.
Oh, I not sure, madam.
Sure, senang jawapan you not sure. Okay, what about Najmi, Zulkifli? Saya suka kelas online ni, senang saya nak panggil nama. Yes, Najmi. Tak dengar Najmi? Siapa dengar Najmi cakap apa?
Tak dengar, madam.
Najmi, are you there? Lepas ni Muaz get ready.
Tak pakai earphone ni.
Mana Najmi ni hilang? Okay, Najmi. Najmi.
Madam?
Ya. Dah boleh dah? Najmi, hilang terus Najmi. Okey, Muaz lah
Saya
Muaz.
tak kuat.
Muaz lah Muaz, tak apa Muaz. Next week Najmi.
Okay, madam.
Ya.
Saya cuba madam.
Ya, cuba. Saya tak cakap jawapan you mesti betul.
Kalau apa ni? Saya nak cakap yang setiap benda ni ada proses dengan, kalau boleh kita ada plan dengan SOP kan madam kan.
Okay.
Jadi kalau macam saya tahu kalau saya tak boleh handle konflik of interest ni, mungkin saya akan cakap dengan editor yang saya rasa saya ada masalah dan akan bagi kat saya benda ni. Saya akan bagi kat dia saya. Kod. Macam tu madam.
Okay, very good, very good. Maknanya bukan, it doesn't mean that you play safe, but if you think that you are unable to handle, okay, because you are afraid that the conflict of interest might appear, so you discuss with the editor, and maybe you need to pass the news to another journalist who might not have the conflict of interest, okay, like you do. All right. Okay. Good answer, everyone, for question number 1 and number 2. Okay. This is what the textbook has suggested. Okay, there are 3-step approach in dealing with conflict of interest. The first one is the goal should be to avoid personal conflicts that are likely to undermine the media practitioner's professional obligations. So we have to know what is our goal, okay? And our goal must have nothing to do with our personal conflicts, okay? So it means that we have to put our professionalism first. Second approach is, if the conflict cannot be anticipated, every effort to resolve the dilemma should be made, okay? So like Muaz said just now, okay, if Muaz believes that Muaz cannot handle it, so Muaz needs to discuss with the editor, and maybe Muaz needs to pass the news to another journalist. Okay, so whatever it is, we have to make every effort to resolve, okay, the dilemma. And the third one, if a conflict of interest cannot be avoided, finally, the final stage is we have to make the public know about this, where we have no way to avoid it. Okay, so we have to, and this is what you present to the public. So you have to make the public known about this, that you are in a situation of this kind of situation. Okay, so this is the third one. So these 3 approaches are recommended or suggested by the textbook, but actually every one of us can have our own approach based on our own based on how are we going to handle and deal with conflict of interest. Okay, so I think that's it. Do you have any questions so far? Ada soalan tak?
Madam,
Yeah.
example how to make it public. How, madam?
Example how to make it public. Okay, macam
Yes.
contoh-contoh yang saya bagi tadi, let's say your family members is one of the politicians, okay? Let's say your father is a member of parliament, okay, and you are the reporters, and kebetulan pula accidentally you need to cover a news that related to your father's political party, okay? So if you can avoid it, you avoid it, okay? maybe you need to discuss with the editor, telling the editor, okay, my father is a political party from, my father is a politician from this political party, and you ask me to cover about news about this party, and I think there is a conflict of interest. I don't know, I might be a little bit prejudiced towards this party, for example, because it's where my father is in. So I think I cannot cover this news. Maybe you need to pass to another reporters. Okay. And usually this is what happen. Okay. Tak pernah sampai ke stage ketiga where we have to make the public acknowledge about our situation. But according to the textbook, let's say this happens, you really cannot avoid. Okay, mungkin dalam, maybe in that media organization, only you, the only reporters that cover news on politics, for example. So you really cannot avoid it. You also cannot withdraw. You also cannot quit job. So you have to let the public knows, okay, this is your news. You are the reporters, and your whatever you are written have nothing to do with your background, your personal background, whom your father is also a politician from the same political party where you are covering the news. Understood? Okay. But actually, in reality, we never reach to the third approach. Okay, usually the second stage, like Muaz shared just now, like Abdullah shared, okay, it's enough for us to have a communication with our boss. Okay, so usually the boss would understand and would pass the news to another journalist to cover. Okay, faham tak? Alright. Any other questions?
Madam.
Yeah.
Macam contohnya, kalau sebelum ni kita pernah jumpa siapa tu, saya tak ingatlah siapa nama seorang wartawan tu, nama dia Sulaiman. Saya tak ingat sebab dia pernah datang ke USIM. Dia cakap kita sebagai penulis ni, kita boleh change kepada from negative to positive. Kalau contoh orang yang kita nak tulis pasal cerita tu, dia ada macam orang panggil apa, dia punya cerita tu negatif, kita boleh tukarkan dia kepada positif. Kalau macam tu kita kena discuss dulu dengan apa panggil editor. Saya lupa pula. Macam tu macam mana pula madam?
Yes. Kalau if you want to actually media play very important role in framing any kinds of news. Okay, maknanya kita yang bertanggungjawab untuk frame news tu nampak negatif ataupun nampak positif. Okay, if the news, the raw materials, okay, bahan mentah, news yang kita terima first hand itu dalam bentuk yang negatif contohnya, and we want to frame it positively, okay, kita nak ubah ia menjadi sebuah berita yang positif. Okay, of course, kalau kita a journalist, we have to actually either we need to inform first the editor, or we, of course, every news that a journalist writes, okay, editor will go to editor before it has been published. Okay, so the editor can go through the news and the editor will decide whether this news is accepted to be published or not. Okay, this is actually the ethical procedures, SOP of news publication. Okay, cuma okay, ini boleh jadi kita punya tajuk untuk tutorial hari Jumaat ni. Cuma in the context of social media, okay, where journalists do not have to get approval from the editor. Okay, so macam mana a journalist can be a so-called very ethical dalam mengubah warna sesebuah news itu, dalam mengubah konten asal sesebuah news. Okay, so again, our objective must come into place. Okay, why do we write this news? Okay, kalau kita write this news because we want to serve the public, because we want to give public a very good view of something, maybe it is acceptable, okay, to change the color of the news from negative to positive and vice versa. Okay, I think it depends on our goal, our objective. Okay, why do we write that kind of news? But if our goal is for the betterment of the society, then okay, because in the context of new media, social media, reporters who work to get news as fast, as quick as possible, and they don't have to get approval from the editor. Okay. Ada lagi soalan? Do you have any other questions before we end our class? No? Okay, all right. I think that's it for today. See you again on Friday, insyaAllah. Okay, for our tutorial. We begin with the AC1 at 9 o'clock, right? Okay. All right. Thank you, class. Assalamualaikum.
Salam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
madam.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.